In the early days of April 1865, Washington, D.C. was finally breathing again. The long, bitter Civil War was nearly over. Confederate armies were collapsing. Richmond had fallen. President Abraham Lincoln felt a heavy darkness lifting from his shoulders. For the first time in 4 years, he allowed himself to hope, not for victory, but for peace. Yet beneath his calm exterior, something disturbed him. A dream he could not shake. Lincoln was known for his storytelling, but he was also a man of deep intuition. Throughout his presidency, he spoke of strange dreams that visited him before major events. Some he shared only with his closest friends, including his bodyguard and friend Ward Hill Lamon. And in the final days of his life, Lincoln spoke of a dream so vivid, so chilling, that those who heard it remembered it for the rest of their lives. On the night of April 4th, Lincoln told his cabinet that he had dreamed of being carried swiftly across a vast, dark body of water, a dream that usually came before important news on the battlefield. Days later, he would tell Lamon about a different, far more haunting vision. It happened late one evening, when Lincoln had gone upstairs to rest. Exhaustion pressed on him like a weight. As he drifted to sleep in the quiet of the White House, he felt himself pulled into a strange dream, one that did not feel like a dream at all. He remembered walking through the dark and unusually silent corridors of the White House. No guards, no clerks, no sound of footsteps, only a heavy stillness. As he moved toward the East Room, he noticed a soft, mournful crying. It grew louder with every step, echoing through the halls. Lincoln followed the sorrowful sound until he reached the East Room doors, which stood slightly open. Inside, the entire room was bathed in dim, ghostly light. Drapes hung low, candles flickered weakly, and at the center of the room stood a coffin covered in a cloth. Soldiers stood guard around it, their heads bowed, their faces solemn. Lincoln stepped closer. "Who is dead in the White House?" he asked one of the soldiers in his dream. "The president," the soldier replied. "He was killed by an assassin." Lincoln jolted awake. His heart pounded. His room was still dark, the dream's chill clinging to him. It felt too real, too vivid. He rose, walked slowly through the halls, and tried to calm his breathing. He said nothing of it that night. But a few days later, unable to keep it inside, he told Lamon the entire dream. Lamon was deeply disturbed. He begged Lincoln to increase his security. Lincoln only shook his head and gave a tired smile. "I've long had a presentiment," he said. "I know no one could do more to protect me than they already are." But the truth was clear. Lincoln believed fate was closing in. Just a few nights later, on April 14th, 1865, Lincoln attended the theater at Ford's Theater with his wife Mary. The play, Our American Cousin, was a light comedy, a welcome escape after years of war. Lincoln was in a rare, cheerful mood. Officers and friends recalled him speaking kindly, shaking hands warmly, and enjoying the applause of the audience. But at 10:15 p.m., actor John Wilkes Booth slipped into the presidential box. With a single gunshot, he shattered the peace Lincoln had long fought for. Lincoln was carried across the street to the Peterson House, where doctors worked desperately to save him. At 7:22 a.m., on April 15th, the president passed away. When word spread across America, millions mourned, and so did those who remembered the dream. To them, it felt as though Lincoln had glimpsed his own funeral days before it happened. When his body returned to the White House, it lay in state in the East Room, exactly as he had seen in his dream. Soldiers stood guard, candles burned softly. Thousands walked past in silence, just as Lincoln had walked through his dream alone. To this day, historians debate whether Lincoln's dream was a true warning or simply the reflection of a weary mind under unimaginable pressure. But his own friends believed it was something more, a mysterious prophetic vision. What remains undeniable is this: in the final days of his life, Abraham Lincoln sensed a shadow approaching. And in the quiet halls of the White House, he dreamed of his own death before the world ever saw it.